Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the new conglomerate, or just to Tales of Auraxis. I am your host, Bridger. Welcome. This week we are talking about the first big game update for PlanetSide 2, as well as a number of other topics in the news over the last couple weeks. And tip of the week, we've got some after-action reports. It's going to be a good time. As I said, I am Bridger. This is our first official episode, so we're glad you guys are here joining us, however you got a hold of the program. Thank you for doing that. Tell a friend or two about it. We do need to help promote it, and we don't want to go out there and just spam the forums, but if you know somebody who might be interested in this kind of thing, you know, driving to work, listen to a podcast. Sitting at work, not doing work, watch a podcast. You know, that's how it's done. So, without further ado, let me introduce the other hosts here. I also have Army Knife. Welcome, sir, from the Vanu Sovereignty.
It's nice and dubsteppy here.
And from the Terran Republic, the traitorous East Clintwood.
Are the traitors.
Yeah, no. From our point of view, you're the traitors who traitorize liberty. Anyway, we're not going to get into
that.
Yeah,
that's.
We're not good at RP. Time. We're not good at RP. We're going to stay off the RP servers.
And now for the Auraxian politics dialogue.
And now A-Span presents the Auraxian political debate. For the next 3 hours, they will be discussing who should own the crown. All right,
I thought we do that anyway. There's just more firearms involved.
Yeah, they do that normally. This is yeah. So, as you can see, we are live from the crown, as it were. I am using a special cloaking field so that no one will see me, and that is important because I am dressed in blue, so that's a problem. Anyway, there isn't a website yet for the show, and I apologize for that. We're going to get the feed and the website up hopefully sometime this week. I've got the code backend for the website fully customized now, so now I'm going to go about actually adding content and designing the look of it and putting stuff on there. But it will be on sound-strategy.net eventually more completely. So, without further ado, let's jump into the after-action report section this week. Mine is fairly short. I didn't get to play a whole lot this week due to other things like working on the website, but I did find a really awesome story from a PlanetSide 2 player that I had to share with you guys. And it goes like this. Quote, "When I first started playing PlanetSide 2, I spent a lot of time looking at the factions and trying to figure out which one to play as. Vanu Sovereignty looked pretty neat and I made my first character. Wandering around, I realized that I kept getting killed in friendly areas. It took me until I hit rank 4 to find out that there are two different blue factions, a blue and a purple. Being colorblind, I had no idea that the game was a three-way fight. The only colors I saw were red and blue. I have been Terran Republic ever since. I didn't choose the Terran Republic. The Terran Republic chose me." Unquote. That is by Smokes Far Too Much. And that is one of the best stories ever.
I saw that a week or so ago, and I had to send it to all of my friends, and yeah, it was good stuff. I was like, guys, this is an amazing read.
Really cool. And if you guys have any stories or anything that you think is worth reading on the show, hold on to them, because we're going to ask you for it once I get an email set up. But that's going to be for next week.
Do you still have that YouTube link introducing what it's like when the Vanu attack an NC tech plant?
I will find it for you, sir.
Okay, good.
What it's like when the Vanu attack an NC tech plant. Are
go
you
ahead
talking
and
about the
while I look for
Simpsons
it, go
one?
ahead and talk to. Go ahead and tell them about your fight while I look for it.
Oh, okay. So I actually have a bit of an interesting after-action report because back in Double XP weekend, the most amazing things happened.
You mean back in the golden age, the good times, back
No,
when the years of plenty.
Because we triple cont locked on Double XP weekend on Waterson, and as we were taking Esamir, the black square, my outfit, we were like, okay guys, we're gonna go up to the northwest. We're gonna take Palos Solar Array. We're gonna keep the NC from getting anything. And guess who showed up to try and take Palos Solar Array back? None other than Team Legacy. They attacked us about 3 or 4 separate times. Bridger occasionally taking a Reaver.
Yeah, I love Reaver.
Every single time we repelled their advances.
You were like 3 times our numbers. It wasn't fair.
We didn't have 3 times your numbers. We had maybe 1.5 times your numbers.
I don't actually remember the specific details of that particular fight. I was having
Well,
fun
that's
in a
good because
reverb.
I'm uploading the videos, which have all the specific details.
No, my shame. No.
So if a picture tells 1,000 words, what's this going to tell us about this story when he's got a whole video of it?
It's
I
better than
found that link, by
Tolstoy,
the way.
apparently.
About 5 minutes long, and it's the entire engagement, I believe. But we were just like all of the guys in the black square, because I introduced the show to them. They watched the show, like, oh my God, it's Bridger, and so yeah, they started specifically targeting you and other
No,
people.
that's why I keep getting shot down. I knew there was a reason. Quick, make a new character. Change the name. I did have somebody in the first time I knew we were fighting against you guys, I had somebody who watches the show who was like, I just shot Army Knife. It's like, uh-oh.
So we had this fun engagement, and yes, they didn't have quite as many numbers, but I have to hand it to my outfit. We have the ability. We have good people who pinpoint Sunderers, and then we get right on blowing them up. So I have to hand it though to Team Legacy. If you guys ever come across Hassel, don't.
Hassel knows what he's doing, man.
You'll see a number of times in the video I just get like triple shot with an E1 in the head and die instantly from about 100 yards. It's just, he's ridiculous. That was a very fun fight, and we managed to hold off Team Legacy mostly because they kept putting their Sunderers in roughly the same place.
Well, you know, what works works, and what doesn't work we haven't tried yet.
No, you've only tried what doesn't work.
I was gonna get away with that statement. All right. So, let's see. New trailers, ladies and gentlemen. Some new trailers. You guys saw these. East, what did you think of them?
All right, well, I'm really happy not only did we get Game Update 1, which we're going to talk about later from Sony, but they finally gave us new trailers, faction-specific recruitment trailers. So I see this posted on the internet, and I get all excited, and I go to watch it, and I said, hey, you know, these are all really good. They're not one of them was particularly terrible. They definitely catered to their individual factions. But what got me was not the trailers they made, was that immediately the community, not 2 hours later, was already redubbing them and adding new music, and those were so much better than the originals.
What they
and
really
I
provided, they really just provided video footage for us to make better or
yes, exactly.
better parody trailers.
Exactly. So the parody trailers, guys, just sit there, go to YouTube and go wild. There's a bunch of them. They're funny. Doesn't matter which faction you are. I laughed at ones for all of them. Though everybody kind of picks on the VS the most, but they deserve it anyway, so I don't mind.
You know, even I picked on the VS. I saw that immediately, and I think it was Bridger who linked it to me, and I immediately. It's official, we're the dubstep faction. And then Game Update 1, we get the dubstep canon.
So
it all goes down from there.
Yeah, I thought, actually, I liked the NC the best. I thought ours was, like, way more, like, hey, we're an awesome faction of rebels. And the Vanu one was good. It felt very, like, technological and scientific and like clearly we are correct and the others are simply children, you know, that it had the right feel to it. And the Terran Republic was like, derp derp, we're the army, derp derp, recruiting poster, derp derp. And I was like, wow.
I felt the exact opposite. It was the Vandy one was nice and moderately okay, and then the NC one, it's just all they're doing is making fun of it. And these guys are crazy cultists, and those guys are mean fascists. And it's I'm like, really, you're just gonna sit there and name call? This is how you recruit people? What is this, and modern politics?
And that's why the Terran Republic video appealed to you.
Yes, that is why.
It's
he
like
desires order.
It's like that was a recruitment poster for old men with canes that beat younger people.
Get off my lawn!
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the Terran Republic on you. All right, so yeah, those were cool. I like that. So in the news this week, the big news, East, we got the first game update.
Game Update 1. This one was really big. We got a lot of fun stuff, and I unfortunately closed the patch notes, but finally a bunch of tweaks. I'm not exactly a huge fan. Thank you, Bridger, for sharing that with everybody.
What? You said you're happy? You don't fly planes, do you?
Well,
I was like, no,
I do fly a lot
my
of mosquitoes,
overpowered
but
machine, no.
I've lately spent most of my time in tanks, so I haven't really gotten the full shock of it. And what they buffed the AA damage, and that hurt me right in the feels.
Yeah.
You know what,
So
though? I have to say, I don't think the rocket pods feel any weaker. I think that
Only
the
against
rocket pod,
Sunderers they feel weaker.
yeah, and I think those were some good changes.
Yeah, it is. I'm not really
I
complaining.
I noted a distinct lack of any mention or hint of the Tank Buster, so that will probably remain the most overpowered gun in the entire game for a
Yeah,
long
but
while.
you put it on the slowest, hardest to maneuver dumb ship there
And
is.
if you need to take out a Sunderer, you can suicide one.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I think it takes
still,
what? It takes 2 full cannon blasts with a tank buster, but the tank buster is really inaccurate. You have to get pretty close because it has a lot of drop and
Yeah,
spread over
but-
distance.
yeah, you're basically scratching paint by the time you're close enough to hit with all of your rounds.
Yeah, but the only non-issue I have with that is if you can get one of those out, you can probably do, and I've done this enough, like one sweep from behind. And remember, the Tank Buster fires 2 rounds at once, so 1 magazine goes through, no problem. That's actually pretty easy. You don't need everything to hit on the rear armor. And then if you just turn around and fly off, finish it off.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea actually. It's like I'll soften it up for you. Finish it off while we turn around. That's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that because I'm the selfish guy in the front going, no, I want the kill. I'm guessing that the gunner doesn't get credit when I get a kill. They probably didn't
You
reverse
get
it.
some credit. You'll get the gunner kill credit, and you also get the Sunder assist credit.
No,
You'll
I
get
mean
both.
if I, the pilot, get the kill with the tank buster, I don't think the gunner gets credit.
No, they don't.
Take all the XP. No. So
That's just being selfish.
yeah.
That by the way is how capitalist the NC are. That is capitalism in XP action.
No, because if that's true, then we wouldn't be derping around in the warp gate all the time, flipping people over. That's not capitalism unless somebody's
every
paying them to
faction.
do that.
They're gonna start banning
Besides,
for that.
you got to remember, the NC are libertarians. They're not capitalists per se. They believe in the free market, laissez-faire, my friend. No regulation.
Well, we believe. You know what, Adam? We believe in laissez-faire.
That's one way to put it. All right, so let's get back to the patch notes here. We just talked about, the Sunderer got a little bit more protection against rockets, which maybe it needed. It was a little too easy to make one pass from the rear with an ESF and take it out before anybody could even respond.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, with the aircraft, what is it called? The flak defense armor that the ESFs can get is now pretty much required in any situation where the enemy has AA. And I see these videos on YouTube of people going, here's how you fly. And they're doing these amazing passes with nobody shooting them. And I was like, you know what? I could fly like that too.
Try that with some actual opposition.
I see him getting kill after kill after kill, and nobody is shooting him. And I'm like, I wish I had targets that passive. I could get so much XP if it was only this easy in a hot
It's a great
zone.
defended
And
farm.
that's why you need to make another character. Everybody's like, it's Bridger, shoot him!
I must have like one of those special giant yellow signs in the side of my plane.
Richer.
Well, you do.
Yeah, I guess I do.
You know,
Now you need a hood ornament.
the biggest problem I had with this update was the horns for the Sunders and the Flashes. Now, a week or so ago, Smedley had tweeted, some person had tweeted to Smedley, if you put a La Cucaracha horn on the Sunder, I would give you an inordinate amount of money. And I thought to myself, and I'm like, I would do this too. And Smedley replies, watch next week. Okay, at this point, I am as giddy as a school child. I'm excited and I can't wait. And I'm just eagerly watching patch notes and I see Sunderer horns, yay. And what do we get? Beep. They want you to spend 6 feet for beep. And it's like,
That should
really?
be standard.
That should be standard.
That
And they
should
should
be
have all
standard.
these flavorful ones. And
Yeah.
I would be more than happy to
I
spend the
want a
650.
horn that plays the NC like music, and I want if you could give me like Battlefield Vietnam style, the ability in a Liberator to play Ride of the Valkyrie as I'm coming in.
It's called hold down the number 4 on your number pad.
No, I mean
But
for
that's
reals,
not
like
the
over
same.
loudspeakers. This needs to be like psychological warfare.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing to do. Is just and Battlefield Vietnam was to do it, and I'd love to be able to do it here because nothing quite shocks the enemy as when you're flying over in a gunship blasting Ride of the Valkyries. And even if it
So
does,
cool.
you still feel really cool. So
damn it, now I can't remember the Clarence Clearwater Revival song. Something about a flag.
Fortunate Son.
Fortunate Son, that's the one. That's the other one that always was awesome when you're flying through, because it's all those damn Vietnam movies that have those songs, and you just see them every time they're flying a helicopter. You're just like, in your brain, those are now fused. When helicopters are flying overhead, those songs play in your head, whether you want them to or not. Anyway, back to the patch notes. Let's get back here.
Back to the patch notes. Actually, why don't we play the video that East gave you regarding the Vanu versus the NC and tech plants, because this will just
I didn't make this video. I found it on the internet.
I don't know what this has to do with tech plants exactly. It doesn't.
I don't know how it's specifically a tech plant thing either, but
it's worth watching, and we can use it to segue into the tech plant patch.
I don't. Why is Aliens guy there? Why? Well, I don't even know what I just saw. That's
yeah, that was my response, and I was like, "Oh, you Vanu," and I immediately sent that to Army Knife here, and so...
I got it right away. So I guess that makes me Vanu.
What is it to get? What I don't. Is there an inside joke I'm not getting, or is it just funny that they put little things on him? Because I've seen that scene in The Simpsons before. I know that he's gay. I don't understand if there's something deeper than that, though.
It's the combination of that with the fact that we use laser guns and
oh, I see.
And then Aliens guy, because we're all about
thing.
the
Aliens guy was pretty good, I gotta say. They did a good job.
So yeah, the tech plant changes. I think a lot of people are happily angry about that.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of people that are bent out of shape because, oh no, tech plants used to be the only defensible location and now they're gone. And I am of two minds. I kind of wish they had kept tech plants the same but added a few more entrances that anybody could get to. You know? I liked that it was a real tough slog in there, but I don't like that there were really only one entrance, essentially. The one entrance at the front there. And then, actually, the Vanguards, if you played NC, if they raised their tank cannons up, you could have infantry run up them to jump over the side shields. But it was really...
You can actually run along the gun barrels as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the gun barrels on the Vanguards.
Saying like the whole tank up against the wall.
No, the gun barrels.
It's kind of unnecessary, so okay.
A little bit. So, yeah, so the tech plant, it seems like from what I've been able to tell, the testing that I've done, the two shield generators that are outside, you need to take down both of them in order for the shields to fall completely. Is that right? It's not like one shield generator controls one shield and one controls another.
It's the same as an amp station, and I think that is actually the thing there are two things that I'm unhappy about with these changes to tech plants, and that's one of them, is that it basically turns the tech plant fight into a wimpy amp station fight. Because with amp stations, you need to take out a whole bunch of shield generators to get to the SCU also. But there's the two shields on the outside and then the SCU shield, and there's none of the interesting walls or any of the stuff. So it's like a kind of a different take on an amp station, and I liked that it was a more unique base. The thing that I'm really upset about, though, is the lack of the teleporter in the spawn room. They took out the spawn room teleporters. So you can't quickly get from the spawn room to the interior of the base.
That I think if you're going to put those shield generators on the outside there, you leave the teleporter in.
Yeah. Something to give us mobility. Dare I say it, even jump pads to get where we need to go in a timely fashion. Yeah, that'd be fun. But
actually, that wouldn't be bad. Yeah, jump pad from the spawn up to the top, where you then take the teleporter
where you
down
can then take another. Yeah, exactly. So then you can die faster that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Faster and more efficient death. Exactly what everyone needs.
Yep, exactly like that time I smacked into the wing of a Liberator as a max, and it took off half my health.
I mean, the tech plant was really interesting because it required a lot of coordination on the side of the attacking force. You needed to use either some form of like smoke and flash grenades to get just a toehold inside. Once you were able to get a toehold inside those two doors, then you could really start actually making progress forward. Or you could have, a diffuser come in the back entrance or the side entrance, or you could have lights go up the side and things like that. The problem is, if you had equal forces, attack and defense in terms of numbers, it was just so easy to hold that point with a competent defense force. The problem with that was, okay, if you had a derpy defense force, it would take a competent attack force and force use of really cool, smart tactics. And those would seize the day and be awesome. But if you had a competent defense force Not even a competent attack force could work unless you had really great numbers. That was the problem with the old system. So what they needed to do was allow for a competent attack force to defeat a competent defense force if they used even numbers if they use good tactics.
Actually, you know what? I think we can go back to the episode last week and look, and I remember you advocating, I believe, to say that they should move the shield generator to the outside of the tech plant. Now you're saying they shouldn't do that.
I think that was one point of view. Well, no.
I remember us complaining about biolabs. I don't know if I remember the talk about.
Now
there was talk about.
I don't mind that the shield generators on the outside, as long as the shield generators themselves are defensible and they have like a teleporter to the inside or something. Like there seems to be something different about a tech plant than an amp station. Because you're right. Right now it's just an amp station without the walls, which is less good.
There's more guns in one place, but that doesn't make it more
because there's no walls.
Yeah. So I wish that the generators had a very interesting defensive, like if the generator was in the basement of some kind of a bunker complex that you had to like throw grenades in to breach or something, and there was
even trenches
so and things like that.
Some nice trench fighting.
Yeah, that kind of a
bring it back
thing
to
would
World
be
War
really,
One.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah. I don't know. I would appreciate if it was slightly different. But the other thing I have to say about tech plants, if you look inside, they got the giant gun, massive, huge artillery gun in the middle of a tech plant. You can't get it out. What? There's no place to shoot it. How did it get in there? What's going on with that? Does anybody know? Is that a future expansion?
Please
they're
tell
like
him
teasing
so he doesn't
us.
go insane.
It's your rage cannon. It's specifically made for you so that when you have a rant, you can talk about it.
I just imagine like us like unlocking some secret in the future, like, oh, if you jump on this panel and then hit the C button, the top opens and the cannon fires. Like that's just be. I don't think that'll happen.
No. Although I do have to say about the old tech plants, one of the fun things was with the combination of shitty draw distance, if there was a huge defending force, and the fact that the huge defending force usually was not paying very much attention if it wasn't immediately at the door, there were times when you could take a light assault, sprint through there without any smoke or flash or anything, fly up onto the second level, and I did this with a shotgun, and just start shooting people in the back, and they don't even notice. I actually ran out of ammo and was just knifing people. Who were like taking
Jack
these hits
the
and being
Ripper.
like, I'm going to keep shooting at the wall.
Is somebody shooting me?
Yeah. So it might be a step in the right direction. It's possible that the tech plants now are slightly better, slightly lower chance of just a super stalemating, no fun fight. But it's still not as good as like an amp station or a biolab right now, I think. 50.
Yep.
LWAP says, well, that was 50% rendering and 50% morons.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's the combination of those two. When you have that perfect storm of rendering issues and people staring at the doors, you can have like all the kill. It's like tipping cows, except they're blue and gold plated.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so let's see here. They did finally fix the flak damage tooltip, the flak upgrade on the ESFs and the Liberators and things like that. And now it starts at, I think, 15% defense against flak and 5% against light arms or something like that. And, you know, I feel like it's needed now. And that's maybe good, maybe bad. It just feels like an arms race. Like, I need to get as many certs as possible so I can get my flak
To keep
armor.
up with the updates.
Yeah, updates where they just continue to buff AA. I was glad to see
The
that
Cold War between aircraft and anti-aircraft.
Yeah, I was glad to see that the lock-on weapons don't require lock-on like they said in the patch notes.
Yep.
Because I really didn't like that concept of the change. The Decimator's awesome though. You guys like the Decimator?
Have you unlocked it yet? I haven't used it or trialed it yet.
I use it in any situation where we're like close fighting with tanks and stuff. It always seems to do more damage. I mean, it does, but that's just quite useful. So I had a really good thing to talk about. Now I can't remember what it was. Crap.
That's why you keep the show notes up.
Yep.
No, it was about the tips here, the patch, and now it's gone. Oh well, they buffed the Shredder. That's good. they buffed the Reaver air hammer, my air shotgun. So we'll see if that actually. I haven't tried that one out yet. I want to try that though. Skyguard's better. All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
It is nice to see something other than a rotary. That
Yeah, I still use the rotary. I didn't try the new air hammer.
So
I like the name
None
though.
of our guns are rotaries. We just have laser guns and
you guys
giant
Laser guns.
aircraft mounted lashers.
All right. Any chat room? Did you guys? Oh yeah. No joystick support. Where the hell's the joystick support?
Yeah.
Grr.
Someday. I keep hoping. I've been hoping since closed beta, but you know.
The joysticks
joystick
work
support.
better than they did.
It definitely works better, but
But
it needs
I
a
still
better
feel like
sensitivity window.
The pitch
You
sensitivity.
can't throttle your acceleration, for example.
No,
Yeah,
you
you
can.
can.
Really? They fixed
Yeah.
that?
That's
Okay.
analog.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
do
choose
analog.
analog. Now, it still has an issue where it will, like, there is actually a reverse function. So if you slam the throttle all the way back, you won't actually land. Instead, you'll just hover over the ground.
It's the equivalent of holding S.
Yeah, you have to find the place on your throttle that is neither S nor W.
I think I find that place really easy because it's the exact same thing with all the X games, like X3 and X3 Terran Conflict and stuff. It's in the same spot, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, I got it. But it's the pitch sense.
Yeah.
It's horrifically broken. You cannot fly with a joystick unless you can manually somehow change your pitch sensitivity.
And it's
because
not-
right now, it's like you just turn it a little bit and suddenly you're all the way down.
Yeah. I actually use the driver for my my Logitech Extreme 3D to manually change the sensitivity in there, and it kind of helps a little bit. But the problem is, I've tried the sensitivity in a bunch of different places, and no matter where I go, there's always a point where the sensitivity ramps up really quick. So it's really like the what is it? The graph. If you graph the sensitivity, it kind of goes up, nice and slow, so I can easily at the small end make small adjustments. But then it means if you go near the outside and make big, it's really quick. But then if I lower it, then I can't make small adjustments, but then making larger adjustments feels smoother. Yeah, I can't find a good middle ground. It's a big pain. Yeah.
And that's when you have the ability to actually edit your driver settings. A lot of people, including myself, can't do that.
So what joystick do you have?
I have a horrifically named Thrustmaster.
Hey, I've got one of those too.
So they have they have drivers that work but aren't customizable.
They're not.
It's like the opposite of they're like the anti-Logitech.
I see. All right, so yeah, I'm really hoping for more driver support or joystick support in the future because, the sensitivity's all the way down. It doesn't go any lower. What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm guessing the in-game sensitivity, if they put it in correctly, would solve all my problems. I can still fly with it. It's really hard to aim those rockets right when I'm trying to go after a specific target, or aim or follow a stupid scythe and its stupid, sexy maneuverability, and all that. So
You just sound like you're stupid, sexy Flanders.
right, that's the joke. That's the joke. .jpg. So what else do we got here? Oh, here's an awesome link for you guys. This is machine-code.com/PS2 timer, and the link is in the show notes too, which will be on the website when it actually goes up. So it's again machine-code.com/PS2 timer, and what this is let's say put me in here. I think I have Liberator 3 and Reaver 5. And so what you do is, if I just spawned a Reaver right now, I'd have this on my other window and I'd hit start. And then, let's say a little while later, I crash my Reaver and I grab a Liberator. Then I grab the Liberator, I hit start. And this will actually have an alert sound, and you can leave it up in the other side of the thing so that when your fighter becomes available, it'll go beep beep, so you don't have to run back to an air station and go, oh, I gotta wait 2 more minutes. You'll know whether you need to go back or not. And it also has a lightning, main battle tank, Sunder, flash. It has all the times built in, and also it helps you learn the times to begin with. The Galaxy's 20 minutes, Liberator's 15, Empire Fighter is 10, main battle's 20, lightning's 15, Sunder is 20, flash is 5, max is 10. So, it's very useful. And you can actually save your build, like what I put in here. I have Cert 5 on the Fighter and Cert 3 on the Liberator. You can click on this link to build and save this as a bookmark, and you can just go straight to your build, so you don't have to change that. So that whenever you start the game up, put this in your other monitor, because you have another monitor, right? Everybody does. They should.
Everybody does.
So yeah. So that's cool. I like that.
That's actually really fantastic. I'm gonna have to harass you for that link again after the show because I'm gonna start using that.
Yeah, it's right
Even
in the
though
show
it's in the
notes,
show
too.
notes, he has to.
Well, if I don't harass him, it isn't as fun. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a perfectly good excuse.
Yeah, it would. Gav King says, "Too bad that doesn't integrate with PS2." You mean like they didn't put that support into the UI to begin
Yeah.
with?
Well, that would be convenient to know when we can
it'd
use
be even
vehicles
better.
again without having to go to the pad.
I would even settle for a phone app, okay, at this point.
Just have your phone.
Yeah, just start buzzing. Up, the Reaver's ready.
It sounds like you're making
Gotta go
dinner.
take it out of the oven.
That's true. You know what? We're complaining about the things in a half-formed game.
Gameplay is great, so I really don't have anything to complain about. We're just nitpicking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we're
nitpicking.
good at it.
If these nits don't get picked, they will never get fixed.
There you
Exactly.
go. There you go. All right. So, what's next Sunday, Matt?
Next Sunday is the Triple Station Cash Day, which basically means don't spend any of your money buying station cash until the Triple Cash Day. Because even though they're having all these wonderful sales right now on items, if you don't have the cash, I would say just save it. Especially, there's a good buying strategy I think someone in my outfit posted on, which is basically, if there's a weapon you really need and you have the station cash, buy that. But don't buy any cosmetics or anything until Triple Cash Day.
Yeah, and what I've been
So-
trying to do is I've got, I think, all the weapons that I feel like I need. Like, I got air-to-air rockets. I got air-to-ground rockets. I got an armor-piercing upgrade for my Vanguard. I got the AA, secondary for my Vanguard. I've got the Zephyr. I've got the Tank Buster. And there's a bunch of other weapons. I got a good selection of weapons for the Medic, which is my main class. And, I got a shotgun for light assault. And there are a bunch of other weapons that would be nice to have, but I don't play those things often enough. I don't really spawn a Sunderer for very often, so I don't have very many things on it. But if I see anything on that half price, that's the only time I'm going to buy it.
Oh, and a small correction. That's Friday the 21st. It's
Oh,
not
Friday.
Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
Friday.
I thought, yeah, it's Friday. And so
I can't read. My bad. Last time it was on a Sunday. I just thought for some reason it was going to be on a Sunday again.
This is Friday. It's the 21st. My advice is if you use Steam to play this game, which I do recommend again, especially if the in-game you like taking screenshots and the in-game screen thing fails, whatever. Just put some money in your Steam wallet now, like $5-10, and just hold on to it because it actually integrates very well with buying the station cash. You just spend it from the Steam wallet. You get your station cash. You're good to go.
Gav King's right. I can't drive anyway. I flipped the Sunderer with like 12 people in it.
Oh, that is the worst, and I've done it too.
I did that with a Galaxy the other night.
Oh,
I don't
dear.
know if it's worse to do it with a bunch of strangers who it's like forever, whenever they see you, are going to think, oh, that guy, he's terrible. Or when it's with people who are just going to continue giving you crap about it for the entire rest of the day.
I think I'd rather take crap from people than besmirch the fine name of my outfit.
Because if you're only your outfit sees it, then what stays.
No one will know.
What happens in the Sunderer stays in the Sunderer.
No, that's what happens when you park the Sunderer next to something.
Yeah.
Or it's really fun when you're loading one up on a vehicle pad, and then someone's on the tank, and it just explodes, and everybody in the Sunder says, "Wow, what just happened?" I haven't done it. A friend of mine has, and I was in the Sunder. So
Yeah.
We're
So
delaying current Bridger rant right now.
well, the other thing that I've discovered and what I'm going to do is I bought like $25 worth of station cash the last Triple Sunday, and I got $75 worth, and I think I'm going to do it again now. $25, $75 worth. And that way I can afford boosts and stuff. But I still haven't bought any camo or anything.
really, I think the majority of my station cash goes to camo.
See, no,
I
I want to
get made
spend...
I need to play my dress up.
Yeah, I get made fun of for having a camo set for every continent.
I'm
Now it's
starting
like,
to do
okay,
that.
I mean, I've
I
got
have
to
vehicle camo for. I have vehicle camo for Indar and Ezamir. I still need to get some jungle
camo.
stuff.
I don't have equal. I'm still in the bright shiny alpha squad. Look at me, your vehicle
Yeah.
can't hide anywhere. Camo field.
Yeah. What, you mean there's no water level with blue camo being useful?
You should try red.
Actually, though, the blue camo is not so bad if you're flying a Reaver, because if you got a nice blue sky, I don't know, is that the sky or is that a Reaver firing rockets at me? The sky might just be firing rockets. I don't know.
If you couldn't hear the incredibly loud warbly engine of a Reaver.
Yeah.
I've trained myself. I've spent enough time in a Mosquito that I can just recognize that sound anywhere. I'm like, Reavers.
Me too. It's like sometimes it's a little harder, I think, between the Scythe and Mosquito, but it's just like wow. I'm like, okay, as a Reaver.
Yeah, it's got a very distinct warble.
Yes.
Yes, when it... Yes, there we go. This is what Reavers do to you. If they take the ship, they'll rape us to death, eat our flesh, and sew our skins into their clothing. And if we're very, very lucky, they'll do it in that order. So that's why you fear the Reavers.
Actually, I like fighting Reavers. They're easier to shoot down.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
could just be
I like fighting.
Stupid mosquitoes are so fast!
It's my favorite part, because I just run away.
Although the Reaver does have better vertical, so you can do cool tricks with the Reaver that you can't do.
I do vertical airframe on mine.
I'm getting a vertical airframe on my Reaver. I think I have it. I can't remember if I just got that or I got the dogfight. I've got to try. I've got to check it out. But I think on any of my air to ground stuff, I'm going to get vertical, and maybe I might get dogfighting if I'm doing air to air. Anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about cash.
Triple state.
Yes. Now, coming up, I don't think it passed yet. There's still going to be a half price on all infantry weapons and a half price on all vehicle weapons sometime in the near future, right?
Maybe.
Okay,
I'm not sure,
I'm going
but
to pull it up
like
then. You
this
guys
that happens,
fail.
so, yeah,
This is the 12 days thing that they've been doing. Today was like half price on infantry hats. No, infiltrator hats. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's specific. It's not even.
It's very
broad.
specific.
Like today was medics or something, and
Yes, you're right. Yeah, and the other day was like heavy assaults, I think.
Yes, but
So-
coming up is going to be all... Hang on, I just looked at it earlier. It's on the Reddit somewhere. It will come up. The shop, where is it? There we go, 12 days of holiday sale. So this is, I think, what somebody pulled out of the game files after the update. So this one says 15% off of gear, which is like camo and stuff. But this says 15%, sorry, not 50%, 15% off all infantry weapons. And 15% off all vehicle gear and 15% off all vehicle weapons. So that might be the time to buy some weapons.
And that is a max outfit that I have not seen before.
This one here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's new.
Yeah, it does kind of look
And
good,
a
doesn't it?
lot of all that equipment looks new. So I wonder if there's going to be a patch. I hope there is. I doubt it.
Yeah, I
but
don't know
hope.
where they got these, but I know
'Cause
that they
normally-
started
'cause-
these.
Because if you're a subscriber, you can get the premium early buy stuff, and you can, even if you're not a subscriber, you can use that to look at what's coming. And
This is
I haven't
today's.
checked it lately.
Why
so.
would anybody buy that hat?
I don't know.
why would anybody infiltrate wearing bright colors? I mean, we've got yellow, we've got red, and we've got bright green. I mean, the purple is at least forgivable because it's dark, but
Max
Bright
Apex
teal.
helmet.
You know what? Sam Fisher got away with bright glowing green. So
well, yeah, that's true.
I don't know, is this Apex helmet like a special, like, winter special thing? Like, what is so special about the Apex helmet? They have to
I
have
think
it
they're
everywhere.
just trying to sell them because nobody's buying them because they can always buy that skull face helmet, which is clearly
Superior.
Yeah.
I actually think the skull face looks really awesome on heavy assaults. I'm just going to say
I
that. But
would-
go back to that medic one, because it could just be me, but the Vanu medic one that was up there reminds me of
Actually looks
grunts
kinda
from Halo.
You know what, though? They have, like, a single visor that looks very much like a Cylon right there. You see that?
And it doesn't
They
help
need a
that the
little red
flags
light
have
going
the
back and
face.
forth.
No, I still think that looks like a grunt from Halo.
Yeah, I might do that too. But I want this. You see these Ice Crusher tire spikes? I want that on my Sunderer, and I want it to work better on Esamir.
If there's that would be cool. But if there's any one thing that I find the most ridiculous out of all the gear, it's the Sunderer bling.
Yeah. Especially like that front, like, battle, like, you're
Yeah.
gonna ram into things with your Sunderer! No, I'm not.
That is a good anti-tank strategy, though.
ram
If you
into
get up
them.
enough momentum, yeah, because they'll take a lot more damage than you.
All right, so. Whew, what else do we got here? Okay, this is very important. I'm sure this'll be the image that spawns 1,000 discussions. The current PlanetSide 2 metagame. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is prime time on the full servers. This is what it looks like, pretty much. You got one continent. It might be different depending upon the night
Yeah,
or
it's
the
different
server.
depending on
But
server.
one continent
who
has
likes what, but
the vast majority of all the Terran Republic. Another continent has the vast majority of all the Vanu, and another continent has the vast majority of all the NC. And it's not fun for anybody.
Although, that's not always the case, and I think there's
No.
an
Indar
important
actually, for some reason, seems to always be the fight that's the most even.
Yeah,
What the hell,
yeah,
Watterson?
but-
Amerish is so much more fun. Why are you in Indar?
because the Vanu always kick ass on Indar. We tend to hold Indar. The Watterson is weird in that the Vanu will tend to hold Indar, the NC will tend to hold Amerish, and the TR will tend to hold Esamir. And then the TR will usually flop around the most between the continents. But, there's a good point, which is as they unlock
yeah,
more
I played Connor
continents,
as well.
on one fights, which is one like the other night there was a huge NC versus Vanu on Amerish, and that's pretty much what the fights are going to look like. Two factions battling over the entire continent, and then everywhere else is going to be just two factions battling it over, and we won't have these interesting three-way fights that we've been getting.
I feel like there needs to be some incentive to hold on to a certain amount of territory in each continent. I feel like what they need to do is make supply all, like, worldwide, right? So the supply, as in resources.
Yes.
And then put valuable resources in the territories, one or two territories away from your warp gate. So therefore you always want to hold at least some territory on every continent. And if your faction is like warp gated somewhere, it really hurts your chances on other maps. And so it gives an incentive for you to go in and break out and at least get some stuff back.
Hell.
And if you're there to break out, you're probably going to stay there and keep fighting and try to take more territory.
Yep, and hell, you know what they could even do? If they globalized the resources, first off, that fixes some of the metagame.
Yeah.
Because if you've been fighting on Esamir and your faction needs you to fight on Esamir to hold on to a cont bonus, but you only hold 3 territories, after a while, you're not going to be able to field any air or any tanks or anything because you have to go to like Indar or somewhere your faction owns.
Yeah.
And sit there for
restock.
15 minutes to restock. So it takes you out of the fight. Not only that, but they could do it by just making, Esamir gives predominantly tank resources and Amerish gives predominantly air resources.
Yeah.
And that way it makes the continents worth fighting over.
Yeah.
Especially when
You've got, you need to hold about a third of the continent to be able to produce enough of X resource to, feed your war machine.
Or they could really fuck with you and make it like Amerish is all tank resources and Esamir is air and Indar. Well, no, and then Indar is air and Esamir is infantry and just mess with it. But but if they did something like that and globalize, that would actually, I think, be a much more enjoyable metagame requiring some degree of coordination between the outfits.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see something like that. And I'd also like to see a population lock per continent, honestly.
There is.
No, it doesn't seem like it because there was 60% Terran Republic on one of these things, percentage-wise. I know that there's an overall population lock, but I'd like to see like 50%. Like if currently, let's say, just throwing numbers out there, if the Terran Republic have let's say 50 people, they can't put another person on there until they're at least 51 non-TR on there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there just needs to be a way so that as soon as a non-TR person, like 2 or 3 non-TR person join, then a TR person can get in. But it seems to
I think
me...
that would break some of the ways you can metagame this. Like if you want to run a midday or late night op because you know that for whatever reason the faction is going to be at a low population then and you are down to like 2 places on the map, you won't be able to break out. you won't be able to have that kind of fight to take back territory you might need.
Unbalanced fights are just no fun, though. I mean, I joined in a fight to try and hold on to our continent bonus on Amerish when we had, I think, we started the fight with 23% of the population, and I don't remember who it was. I think it was actually the TR at the time, and they were pushing us with something like 40 to 45% of the population, and they were trying to just, warp gate us so they could negate our pop. So I said, let's all go there and try and join this fight. So we had 23% at the beginning of the fight. By the time we were down to our last, territory we were desperately trying to hold on to, we had 17% of the population, and they had at least 3 or 4 times the number of tanks and air, and they just dominated everything. There was literally nothing we could do.
That
we just
actually
had nothing
happened.
we could do.
That happened to me too, on Esamir, again against the TR, when they zerged Esamir, and we had the continent bonus, and they were at least just trying to take it away from us. I think they actually
Those
got the lock.
fights aren't fun.
But they're not, because what you end up with is and sometimes that 17% pop fractured between 2 locations, trying to hold on to not necessarily defensible terrain because you've already lost the really defensible terrain, and suddenly the entire TR population just is swarming you with mosquitoes and liberators, and tanks are rolling in, and it's just like there is literally no way to hold on to this. Now, I'm not saying factions shouldn't be able to take continents.
Right.
There's fighting outnumbered, and then there's just completely overwhelmed.
Right.
And
that's
again,
why I
I
said
don't think
50%, or that's why I said 45% seems like a good number. One faction could be allowed to have that many numbers, but more than that is just so overkill.
And not only that, but it's when it's trying to defend, to hold on to a continent bonus, and you get swarmed by all of that 50%. Something seems off that becomes part of the metagame. I mean, it's not fun, and if those fights were fun, they would get a lot more interesting. There's actually a wonderful fight that we had on Scarred Mesa's Skydock at like 5 in the morning, because for whatever reason the TR population on Waterson gets a huge amount of people at like 4 or 5 in the morning. They just swarm everything in the middle. I have no idea why.
There must be some oceanics.
I think I actually put this fight up on YouTube, so I can link to that eventually. But what ended up happening was all of Vanu, about 10% of the population, we had like nothing. So we were all on Scarred Mesa Skydock, and most of this fight just consisted of prowlers sitting near the bridge that leads to the garrison, pounding Scarred Mesa because they couldn't get onto it, and just shelling us while they occasionally made small infantry pushes. Eventually they took it, but that was actually a really fun fight. And if all the fights to hold on to your cont bonuses could be that fun, I think we would see more interest in it, and the fights would get more interesting. Everybody would have a better time, instead of just this, okay, we need to do some mop-up operations and get rid of the people who are, actually care about the metagame, instead of the people who are just like trying to have fun with the game.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're talking about, prowlers not being able to get up on Scarred Mesa, well, the problem is they're not mag riders. I mean, just take a look at this here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
this is how you get to Scarred Mesa Skydock. You just go. I don't know why they're having so much problems. A mag rider can do it.
Mag rider is best tank.
And if that doesn't work, they'll airdrop them from galaxies.
Yeah, they will.
Because ours is the only tank with an afterburner.
Vanu! Vanu!
And that's what happens when technology is winning. Tanks up where they should not be.
It occurs to me, something else that I'd like to see about the metagame is have cutting off actually matter to some degree, because I kind of think it would be really interesting if territories get cut off, the spawns no longer work. Like maybe Sunderer spawns still work, but you cannot spawn.
Though.
Right, the facility spawns no longer work. The facility vehicle spawns don't work either. You wouldn't be able to spawn new Sunderers. So if you had Sunderers in the location, you could hold it for a while, trying to wait until you got, another outfit goes and reconnects the territories for you. So it shouldn't be an instant death sentence if your territory gets cut off, but I think it would be really interesting if you could actually do some kind of siege warfare where it's like, okay, now we got them right where we want them, we've cut them off, and if we keep them cut off, attrition will eventually go in our favor. I kind of think that would be a cool way to do it.
I have to say it works on Esamir, and the reason that works on Esamir is because there are so few territories. So every territory actually does matter for spawning vehicles. So if you are just constantly spawning air on Esamir, you can fight a war of attrition by cutting off territory. You have to cut off most of the territory, but it's still semi-viable on Esamir because it has so few territories. So every territory is very valuable for the resources it provides.
Yeah, there's a lot of really big ones. Look at this. Jaeger's Crossing is massive.
Oh yeah, and you know what the great thing is? It's right on the VS Warp Gate. So if we lose that, we lose a huge amount of we lose a huge amount of resources and territory. And actually, if you look at the Amarish, if you have the resource map available, I think the TR start with a lot of it doesn't have it, but I can remember that the territories near like the I think both the NC and the TR Warp Gate have air resources like right next door. For the VS, we have to go out 2 or 3 territories. So the Amarish metagame is skewed as far as resources are concerned, and I have to check the other maps, but I think they're all kind of like that.
I wish this had
the resources to look at.
Hang on, filters. Can I turn on? No, it doesn't have it. Oh, well. This is a pretty cool site, by the way. ps2maps.com is what it is. It basically uses Google Maps to do this, and then it zooms in on the warp gate for no reason.
You could probably because it's Google Maps, you could probably make a layer.
They might be doing that for all I know. Upcoming features. Let's click that. Tons of icons. We're adding icons for some facilities, outposts, warp gates, control points, etc. Resources. You'll be able to see exactly what resources. So yeah, whoever's doing this is working on it. Very cool site. Definitely recommend it. ps2maps.com. All right. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Anyway, yeah, that metagame. There's just so many ways to fix it. And somebody in the chat, who was it, said that that was the same. Elwup said that that's the same problems they had for PS1 and it was never resolved. I think Sony's like, yeah, one side crushing another side, that's okay. It's really not okay with me. No, neither side really has fun in that fight. I have fun in fights that are really like infantry against infantry, where we're attacking. It's like the best fights are the ones where it's not one side driving a Sunderer up and like assaulting a tower. It's when the two buildings are close enough that people start like meeting halfway and trying to stake out positions behind rocks and trying to flank around tanks, and it's really close quarters fighting. I've had those games on Indar and over by
Snake Ridge and the Crown.
Yeah, the Crown has that. That definitely.
And there's another tower right across from it. And as much as I hate fighting at the Crown, when Vanu will tend to hold the other tower a lot, and they'll just have a line of tanks along the ridge, and we'll be all on the opposite ridge shooting at each other. And it's a good fight because there's this nice no man's land in between. And
the other good ones are the outposts, the satellite stations around the main facilities. You can have a lot of good fights in between those where one side's trying to push. The one that I remember recently that was really good is Regent Rock Garrison, when the NC actually push all the way over here. The fight between Regent Rock and NS Research Lab and or Paris Amp Station, this fight is amazing. There's like, this hill here is like a no man's land. Like the tanks roll out of Regent Rock and they get to this group of rocks here, and it's like there's enemy infantry in the trees, and it's just a massive
under every
fight.
Rock.
It's like, oh, it's such a cool
behind
fight
blades
at
of
night.
grass.
It sticks out in my head.
Actually, no, what's also nice is if you go north of that a little bit, or the plains up above that fight around Snake Ravine it can be very awesome.
Yes.
Because you can get huge tank zergs through there.
I remember when I was playing Vanu in the beta, there was a lot of good fights around this particular one here. And Aladdin Biolab always has the best fights. The fights on the ground, because the between Aladdin and the satellite station that's to the north of it, and it's got that tiny little canyon that tanks can drive through, but then you've got ways for infantry to flank up the ridge here. It's just such a cool fight.
Not to mention with West Highlands right next door, which is really to the Vanu. TR coming south, West Highlands checkpoint is the key to Aladdin Biolab because the other terrain is generally too rough and people don't want to go on it because it just makes you an easy target to be picked off. If you're coming in from the east, then TI Alloys is really the gate key to Aladdin. So there are a few that Aladdin has those cool like choke points. It's just like how Quartz Ridge is the choke point for Havar. And actually, if you go north of Quartz Ridge, that's really the place to get cool tank battles.
Indar excavation.
Yeah, Indar
you know what?
excavation.
From beta on, that is some of the best fights I've had in the game.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about
there.
it, VS and TR, this whole area here is such cool fights. When I play as NC, Tarwich is like who cares about Tarwich? It's just a boring, empty canyon. There's nothing fun about that.
I have seen some cool NC tank zergs, and NC tank zergs in those tight canyons are frightening to a mag rider. Because a mag rider needs that open terrain to maneuver side to side, where a Vanguard just has that beefy armor and the shield. So
it's same with our Prowlers. We have 0 armor to speak of, and it's like, well, good thing I can move really fast. I have no room here to maneuver. There's tanks to all my sides. We can't go anywhere, and, well, goodbye, guys.
Did you guys see that it was... What was it? It was sort of a lore-based approach to one of the developers, like making an announcement about, like, basically describing the Mag Rider and like, here's what's special about the Mag Rider, and they did it from a lore perspective. And somebody took an excerpt from that, and it said they aren't as they don't have as much firepower as a Prowler. Somebody took that excerpt and they linked to it, and they called the post PS2 developers using satire to describe the Prowler. The other one, you know what? The Stronghold in the NC territory. That's a really cool fight, but nobody ever gets there. So we hardly ever get to fight
Play
over
on
it.
Connery, and I will see you there several times.
The fight is always at Tarwich, and playing on NC, this stupid tower in Tarwich is the most annoying motherfucker. Every time we lose it, we spend another hour trying to take it back. The tower. Okay, we just went into a completely different type. We did do this show next week. Let's talk about cool spots to fight on. But that's not what we're talking about today.
No, but about the metagame, I'm going to try and go into my screenshots for Steam because NC I saw had a very interesting metagame the other day on Indar, which I would label the troll metagame. All of the tech plants on Indar and just held them. And it ended up with the most bizarre, screwed up map I have ever seen. So I'm going to just link this image over to Bridger. Because this is the most skewed, weird map I've ever seen on Indar. And I've seen some weird maps on Indar.
All right, let's see if it's loading here. There we go. Which one is it? The one on the left here? It looks like the most recent. There it is. You got the tech plant, the biolab, and the tech plant. Just like, we got this.
Yeah, very little.
As long as we hold these.
Yes, and so it was just that was the fight, and I think eventually, as that day went on, like the Vanu got cut off by the TR, and the TR started taking everything, but the NC still had all 3 tech plants.
That must have been a couple of outfits coordinating and saying, today is the day we hold all the tech plants.
That was double XP weekend, and you know how I can tell? Look at the color of all 3 continents in the upper left.
Vanu! Vanu! They come at night, mostly. Anyway.
So the tooltip tells us.
Yes. I don't think that's true anymore.
No,
I think it might be lying.
They're very
to
easy
us.
to spot at night now, so
And
it's like, aha, Vanu in the hills.
Yeah, and there was LWAP who's asked a couple of times, do people ever actually run out of resources? And I'm getting more and more aggravated with that question because, yes, if you fight on Esamir as part of an outfit and you're like, I need to provide air cover for my outfit, you will run out of air resources.
Yeah, for some reason Esamir seems deadly to air. It's just because it's so flat. You have nothing to hide behind.
It's not just that, but if you need to run any particular resource to the bone and keep bringing it out, you will lose it because there's just unless you control the entire thing, every piece of territory matters so much to your resource income on Esamir.
Yeah, and
even not on Esamir, if you're on a continent where your faction is not just face rolling, you will start using resources.
If you're trying to spawn a Vanguard, and then your Vanguard dies, and you're trying to spawn another one, and then your Vanguard dies, and you're trying to spawn another. If you have those certs and you're actually using them to try and get tanks and things, you're going to run out pretty quick. I run out of air resources even when we have our third of Indar. Actually, that's not true. When we don't have the amp station. That's just in the NC territory. That's the key to our air power. If we don't have that, we have shit for air resources. I think that's the key. Like, everybody has one of those. I keep closing this screen, and I'm not entirely sure why. But on Indar, I know for a fact, Zervan amp station is the place that has 30 air resources for us, and all of the places around it have air resources. So if we, as we normally do, get crushed by the TR in the north, but then push way west against the Vanu for some reason, I can't fly a plane.
Yeah, NC are like water, because the TR come down like this wall, and the NC are just like, okay, we're not going to fight these guys. They actually are giving us some challenge. Let's stomp on the Vanu because they're on another continent.
Yeah, that's what happens. All right, so anyway, let's move on to the tip of the week here before we close it out, because we've been on for quite a while. Let's talk about general flying tips. This is quite good, and I've been flying for a little while. Tip number 1. Get better joystick support. Okay, that's not really going to happen. But if you're using a mouse, the number 1 tip that new people need to be aware of is bind your pitch up and pitch down to the thumb buttons on your mouse. And if you don't have thumb buttons on your mouse, you're doing it wrong. Go out and buy a G700. You don't have to buy a Naga or some crazy thing. A G700 has 4 nice buttons on the side. You can use those to do proximity chat, squad chat, pitch up, pitch down. Bam, you're done. Then you got 3 on the top you can use for other assorted things. So the reason you do this is because doing this is really tiring and annoying, and you don't want to do that if you're in a dogfight. So instead, you just hold down the pitch up button, and your plane just constantly at maximum acceleration pitches as fast as possible. So if you're trying to outturn somebody, that's how you do it.
I think you're flailing with the mouse, just image flip.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My bad. See, that's another reason why you don't want to do
this. This is why we can't have nice things.
Like nice graphics that I ruined by switching away from them.
That I slaved over for actually pretty long time. Anyway.
So yeah,
Third-person mode.
Third person mode's another great one. Do you use third person mode a lot, Matt?
I've been using it a bit less lately for dogfights because I like to have the ability to actually aim. And I mostly use the positioning, especially with Reavers.
Surround sound headphones make air fighting essential.
Aircraft based on where they are by sound, and then you're just ready to aim. Third-person mode I will use when I'm using a Liberator or a larger aircraft, because you need that situational awareness, especially when you're trying to make tight maneuvers to get the health through things. And I will use third-person mode in my side if I'm running from stuff, because then you can really hug the terrain and get missiles to blow up into stuff.
Yeah, and it's really useful. Basically, anytime I'm not aiming at something, I'm always in third-person mode. I have it bound on my joystick so I can just go hop in and out really quick. And, for example, if I'm looking for targets, I'm always in third-person mode, because you definitely have a wider field of view in third-person mode than you do in first-person mode. It's night and day. And I really wish they'd just give us a wider first-person field of view when we're inside the vehicles, and it bugs the hell out of me that I have to keep switching to third person to see anything effectively. It's also the year 2362, and we can't figure out how to make a bubble
cockpit. I rant about that to my outfit mates all the time, and it just drives me insane because I can look around and I only look about this far.
Scythe is kind of a bubble cockpit, I guess.
Yeah. And it, I still support, what is the year 30 something? It still support, dimmer switches on the dashes.
Right.
But the middle mouse button will allow you to free look in the aircraft in first person.
That's another good use.
And you can bind if your joystick has a hat. You can bind the hat to do that, but I never find that quite as nice as free look.
Yeah, the hat isn't as nice, but that's why I said I usually use third-person mode instead for the most part, but I'll use the hat every once in a while on my joystick. And let's see, what else is good here?
Something that I've been doing that you put down there. Mm-hmm. That's a fantastic tip if you fly, especially dogfighters, so you can introduce it.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us about it.
Look, a really, really big one. use your personal waypoint and set it where if you know the area you're going to be fighting in, are going to take the time to open your map and set your waypoint for the nearest air tower or facility anywhere you can land and repair and get ammo. That way it's always there. It's on your HUD. You can at a glance be like, well, I've got 10% of my health and I'm on fire. That way, that's closest.
Yeah.
And you can go, you can safely land, you can get your ammo, and it sounds really simple, but so many people don't do it.
And it's absolutely necessary too, especially when you have the particular issue of, the nearest air tower isn't safe. What is the closest safe air tower that's not seeing a lot of combat?
Yep.
Because the you know how you've got that big giant symbol on the top, actually, like you can see right behind me right here, this big red symbol showing that this air tower is owned by the TR. That doesn't render until you get pretty close to it. So you can see an air tower and you can go, oh, I think that's the one I came from.
Yeah, we usually hold. Is that the one? Oh God, why is all the flak shooting at me?
Yeah. So even if you do own it, though, sometimes people will just roll with a lot of AA Maxes and Skyguards, and so they can be sitting there to camp for air. And if you come in to repair and rearm, and even if you own that tower, you don't want to be in that area.
No, put it in.
They don't even have to be doing that if it's a frontline tower, because it's just the normal attack, and some guy sitting there in a vanguard and says, "Well, that mosquito seems to be going awfully slow today." Boom!
I actually plugged a Reaper the other night in a Dalton. That was he was flying just completely unrelated. He was just flying this straight line, and and we're in a Liberator, and my Liberator pilot calls out, "Oh, hey, there's a Reaper there." Well, he doesn't see us. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna miss this shot. I'm gonna just take it. Boom! Instant kill. What the hell?
The Dalton being the most powerful Liberator gun that shoots one round every, 5 seconds or something?
Yeah, it's an anti-tank gun with no splash.
No splash at all.
Granted, the guy was flying a perfectly straight line, but still. Anyway, that's
a good one. Yeah. And what else do we have written down here? Always remember to equip your new stuff when you unlock it. Nothing
this isn't just for aircraft. This is for everything.
But yeah, every time I was like, I got thermal. Let's go. Oh, damn it! I forgot to equip it. Now I got nothing.
So a couple other tips that aren't written down here. One, just like your infantry have loadouts that you unlock as you level up, and eventually you don't care because you've unlocked all three. Your vehicles have loadouts. Remember them. You can use them. You don't have to change every time to make an anti-air scythe or an anti-air reaver or an anti-air mosquito and then go to anti-ground or mix that. You can just have it all done and set and ready to go with the three loadouts.
I do the same thing.
And beyond that, remember,
like a dressing room. What do I want to wear today? I think you're in the wrong faction,
I'm on Indar
sir.
today. Better bring out the desert one. And
I think you're in the wrong faction. You should be on the Vanu.
But,
my size has to look fabulous.
remember.
The 5th of November.
5th of November, and that you should be using night vision for anti-vehicle and thermal for anti-infantry. The other nice thing is that thermal will pick up cloaked guys, so if you're in a Liberator, you can still see those cloakies and plug them with your thermal.
You know, I don't notice thermal being superior. I mean, thermal is superior in picking out infantry, but its range is so much lower that I still just use the night vision all the time. And curse Freelancer for telling me that thermal was better, because I spent 200 certs on it. Now I never use the thing.
And you know what? The thing is, you just got to run low and fast with your Liberators, just like you're doing tank buster runs, and you just do that against infantry. If you make sweeping paths, they're still going to usually be able to pick out the infantry. And I have once actually had a wonderful 30-second run against a tech plant, and it was only wonderful because the guy had thermal, so he could pick everybody out, and we just flew over this ridge that had about 30 TR on it and just plugged it with the Zephyr, got a ton of kills.
Can you do that motion again about how you plug in TR?
There, that's
okay.
So we just plugged the hill.
For those of you playing the home game,
17 kills.
What you missed was sexual innuendo.
17 kills later, we just fly off of that ridge, and apparently we happened to hit a nest of, I think it was actually NC, because, well, they don't really come in nests, it's the TR nests. we hit that ridge. Apparently, all of them were playing heavy assault, and all of them had their anti-air rockets. Because next thing I knew, I was locked. I was like, okay, I can take a couple rockets, then I'm dead. The whole hill had anti-air. I have no idea why. They were assaulting a tech plant from the ground.
Well, you know, if you're fast, you can jump onto a Sunderer and switch over to your AA real quick. Because I have my loadout for my heavy. I have an AA loadout, so I just click on it, AA, bam. Now I got AA. Hello, boop 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 boop. You know, so it was a good time. All right, any other general flying tips? We're gonna cover sort of air to ground tips and air to air specific tips sometime in the future. But I think any other general flying tips?
A lot of people I've found, especially dogfighting and newer pilots, they keep treating their ESFs as if they're jets or fighters, and they don't think in, oh, I can stop and go down or go hide behind the giant desert coral reef and stop suddenly and have the scythe overshoot me and then go behind them. They don't think that you can break and go up and down.
They also tend to not do the other thing that a lot of good pilots do, which is you'll end up with these tumbling dogfights where the only thrust that's happening is your vertical thrust, your either positive or negative, usually positive. They'll try to fly them like they're fighters and continue to go forward, but
fly
really
circles around, yeah.
dogfights end up being, especially with good pilots, mostly that vertical thrust, which is why I dogfight in a vertical thrust airframe, is because that way I can keep my odd vectors up and just keep rolling strange maneuvers. And occasionally, the other trick is occasionally tap your afterburner when you're doing this. It will make you slide. You may not care what direction.
Burnout like Fast and Furious.
Yeah. So your aircraft will slide in some other direction. That's because remember that's how you fly backwards is by doing this. But it also can make you fly sideways. So you can fly at all of these odd angles and continue to pitch and maneuver. And it really gives you a leg up, especially on people who are flying it like a more traditional jet. And then that also makes you harder to lock with missiles. So I've had these great air fights where I'm just like, these guys are so easy to shoot down because I lock missiles, I switch to my cannon, fire a mag of the cannon, switch back, missiles are already reloaded, I can lock again, and they're still...
that's a good tip, actually. You can switch weapons, and the other weapon is basically reloading in the background. So if you're doing air-to-ground stuff or something like that, and you run out of rockets and the Sunderer's almost dead, switch to your main cannon, finish it off, and then by the time you're done with the mag on your main cannon, your rockets will be back up, and you can take out the rest of the infantry with the rockets.
The same with the air-to-air. You know, that's why I usually go in with an air-to-air missile and lock straight away and get that off, is because I can always shoot at them. But getting a missile lock is going to be a lot harder as soon as they know I'm there. So I'll go in with the missile lock, fire off a missile, switch to my cannon, and go from there and see how it goes.
But specifically, the other reason that what you were talking about before,
yes,
in a dogfight or any kind of thing where you're trying to dodge or turn fast, don't stay at full speed. You turn slow, and you can turn a lot faster, basically. Air brakes is just S. For those of you.
I almost always just have my thumb down on the space bar when I'm flying, just constantly.
Because altitude does matter. I mean, it doesn't matter a lot, but it does matter.
Well, no, it's because I don't use my that's
thruster.
my primary
I know
means
that's your primary means of your crazy and your scythe upwards.
Yeah,
whatever.
they're whatever that thing is that they fly around in their Cylon Raider.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Any final thoughts? General air flying tips? Don't try to flip Liberators. That is not a fun game, and you'll get banned for it now. You freaking jerks. Even though it is
cracked down.
It was kind of funny the first couple times it happened. It's like, cow tipping. You think, that's funny. And then when you're the cow, it's not funny anymore.
Oh, that's a good air tip from Gav King.
That's a great air tip.
Hey! I'm not even reading that on air. That's a terrible tip.
I read it for you.
Nope. I'm going to edit that out in post.
Uh-huh.
All right.
It'll be like, don't let, and then someone on like East Army knife fly for you.
If only I had a whiteboard, I could just hold it up and like write it down and be like, here, guys.
Well, I guess my days of being the awesome pilot that everybody goes, whoa, how do you fly like that, are over. Now that
Yeah, I haven't been like that since Battlefield Vietnam. Back in Nam.
Back in Nam. That was an underrated game. It was the M60 that killed it, but that's another story. Why don't we close it out here I think this is about time to say goodnight for the new conglomerate and freedom. This is Bridger.
Comrades, this is East Clintwood signing off for glorious Red Republic.
Good night, boys, in the Vanu. Seriously, though, good night from the Vanu sovereignty.
You have to do it in a crazy cult-like voice.
No.
The enlightenment be upon you.
Wait, because you know what? Oh man, I wish I could just do a Deckard Cain voice in this kind of under this kind of pressure. Because we have two people in our outfit who go into Deckard Cain voices all the time.
Stay a while and listen. I can't do it.
Stay a while and listen to the Vanu sovereignty.
But I'll try and do the old man. Good night from the Vanu sovereignty.
All right, that took a while, but we got there. Have a good night, everybody.
That was this whole episode. To mention the dub cannon.
All right, and we're clear.
I did at the beginning.
You
so
did? No, we talked about the dub cannon.
Yeah, the dub cannon. I think that was in like the pre-show.
No, we talked about it in the actual show.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So for those of you who are still sticking around for this little after show chat, yeah, they finally added sound to the lasher and they made it a dubstep cannon. You can play that clip again if you want. Because that like I said, with that video they officially made Vanu the dubstep, for better or worse, the dubstep faction.
I feel like there's somebody on our server. There's somebody on the TR that's on like the leadership channel, the command channel, that's just saying into there like, when the crown is owned by the Terran Republic, then you have my permission to leave the continent. It's gotta be, because it's always owned by the damn
really is.
Terran.
It really is. Okay, in Connor, it's like, need help at Crown. Come save Crown. Armor, like, bring that armor column there over to the Crown. You don't need to take Tarwich. What do you need that tech plant down there for? Come stop the VS at the Crown.
No,
and
but the Crown sucks because the TR have it for the very simple reason. They've got two roads. Well, they've got one road, and even though that road is hard to get to, it's uncontested. Nobody can fire at them while they're driving up the back road to the Crown, right? Okay,
there are a couple of places.
If they go up that road, the only place that they can get heavy resistance from is the Crown. When they own the Crown, the VS and the NC meet underneath the Crown and fight each other to earn the right to fight the Crown. And that's annoying as fuck. It's stupid. It's overpowered. This is a Bridger rant for this next week.
Manpower sink in the game.
Because the TR just sit there and farm, because we always have to fight the VS before we get to fight the Crown. We're weakened.
At this point, Adam, if you're getting fights against the Vanu at the Crown, those are the derpy Vanu, because our leader chat almost never is like, need help at the... They're always like, hey, we need help over here in this place, and it's actually...
If somebody says need help at the Crown, they say, get off command!
Yeah, pretty much. and the only thing that's like completely destructive to our command structure is the actual...
Uh-oh. Why did I lose Matt?
He just cut out there. Well, maybe he's talking about a secret.
I think his headset just ran out of juice.
Nope, it's still here. Just occasionally resets.
So really, he's just getting ready to tell us the exact secret to Vanu Command, and it cuts out. I think that was a little coincidence.
Yeah, the secret is our VoIP, our command VoIP is just like bickering children.
So who is 47? You need to elaborate. What are you talking about here? He says we're trying to be state of the game. Really? Okay. Did you notice? I've been doing this since 2002. They've been trying to be me. Yeah. And it's not really. I don't know. Formats aren't something that you can steal, per se. I don't think anybody would say, well, CNN stole news, and that's not cool.
Those bastards.
Actually, no. What you can say is CNN got their news from Twitter.
You can say that. But I'd like to hear him elaborate. I don't know what he's talking about. I know about State of the Game. That's a StarCraft podcast that I think, was it Day 9 the main host there, right? I'm pretty sure he was the main guy. I've seen that a couple of times. It's a good show. And I've had... okay, what is he talking about then?
State of Auraxis, I think.
Ripped off State of Auraxis. I am not familiar with State of Auraxis.
Yeah.
So I have to plead the fifth there.
But,
I just did a Google search for it. I couldn't find it.
As far as ripping off, I can't say we ripped off because I haven't seen or heard of State of Auraxis, and I don't think Bridger has, and East hasn't either. We just pulled this format from. You know what? I'm going to address each and every troll as if they were an intelligent and grown man. No, I'm not.
You know what? That's not what they want. That's what
I know.
They want the emotional reaction.
I know they want
No,
you
but
to
I
get
was curious.
mad and angry and.
Whoa!
How dare you say that we ripped it off?
There we go.
But,
you gotta now punch something.
Ugh.
Okay.
No, but I
And
do.
you
I
anchored
honestly, okay, assuming he's not a troll, I want to know what he's talking about because I'm interested. I would be willing to defend my. I don't know if he's accusing me of something, but when you say somebody ripped off something, that's kind of accusatory, right? A little bit.
Oh no, it's being three asterisks in a row, for the sake of being three asterisks in a row. I'm just the censoring on this channel.
LWAP is saying that. So no, just I'm serious. Go ahead, explain what exactly you mean because I'm curious. But the format for this show is not unlike the format for any talk show. So I'm not sure. We should go back to Edward R. Murrow and say we ripped off
we
him.
should have an episode where we put on like shirts and ties and just shout at each other for 2 hours.
We could do this.
Okay, so 47. I've been doing podcasts since 2006 is when 2006 is when I did my Company of Heroes podcast, which has essentially the same format as this. The only thing that's changed since then is I've got 3 hosts instead of 2, and I've got video instead of audio. Actually, I've got a video and audio. And for the last year, I've been doing Tales of Tyria. And before that, I did Tales of Heroes. So if anything, they ripped off me, but I don't think they ripped off me either because it's not something you can rip off. A discussion show is not something you can rip off. If anything, remember, copying is the sincerest form of flattery, as it were. They didn't rip me off either. I don't feel offended if somebody takes what I did and tries to improve upon it. That's the nature.
I don't think anybody ripped anything off. I think because this is an idea that doesn't have.
There's only so many logical formats how one can have an online discussion and bring it to public. So
you're right.
Yes.
Man.
So I think that it's it's multiple different. It's like, okay, you're not gonna say that bats ripped off wings from birds, okay?
Yeah,
but if anything, though, I mean, State of the Game was a great idea, and State of the League is a good continuation of it. I think. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I'm not trying to judge it. But
anything that builds community for any game, any hobby that you're passionate about, I wholesheartedly endorse it. I'm not going to get mad at somebody for doing. Oh, well, you're doing this too. If you can get more people interested in the same thing that I'm passionate and happy about, then please do so, because then there's more people can experience.
Watch your mouth. Sorry.
Yeah. I try to do my best to provide the interesting.
I think you came up with a great idea by accident when you're like, well, this show is that show is in audio and this one's in video. We'll just do the entire show in shadow puppets with no dialogue.
This is
the Lash just throw water balloons at each other. That's a Lash.
Alrighty, that's the solutions you get from the VS.
Puppet shows and water balloons, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Sock puppets. Yes, sock puppet show.
There we go. One episode, we'll have to do a puppet show.
Really make use of the video media as an art form.
And then just like all of our dialogue is on little sticks that we hold up.
That would really make it very interesting to listen to on the way to work. I tell you what. You just hear... like, okay, what just happened?
I hope that's not the kind of sock puppetry you're going for, Bridger, what I just heard there.
I mean, if you have a good micro... Hey! Quiet. That's not what I meant.
I don't think you heard your own audio there.
I did. It just sounded better when I looked at what I was doing. Okay, anyway.
That's not the point of a podcast.
Taking the hole deeper.
Yeah, but again, we'll have a feedback email. I want to start getting feedback from anybody that's listening. We'll have this episode up on YouTube by tomorrow, hopefully. It didn't disconnect. Remember 2 weeks ago we had it like disconnect 3 times in the middle of the show, that was a huge pain because I had to edit it together on YouTube, and YouTube's editors take forever. And yeah, anyway, this one I don't think disconnected during the duration, so it should just be uploadable and highlightable real quick. Pay to win or pay to advantage, those are very interesting topics. We'll definitely let's save that for the actual show because it's going to be a very interesting discussion.
That's actually a topic.
That is going to be, we don't put on ties and then we shout at each other for 2 hours.
Yes, there will be shouting. For 2 hours.
One of the things that I want to talk
wear
about,
a tie if I can find one.
I mean, one thing that I don't think people make a big deal of is they talk about, pay to win in terms of weapons and things like that. But the only currency you can buy camo with is money. And if camo provides you with a decent advantage, that is essentially pay to win. Right? I mean, that's what galled me when I see this Halo thing that's like, buy it at GameStop and you get a camo that makes you better. And how is that okay with any gamers? How?
But here's what I have to say about the camo. I think it's only worthwhile for protection against people who don't spam Q and people in Liberators. Because if you spam Q, even in a Liberator, you're going to see him.
How good your camo is, Q is. And that's something Battlefield got me really well trained on. So
what do you guys need to spam your Q for? Just make an auto hotkey macro so that every time you fire your weapon, it auto spams Q.
Some of us to work out our pinkies.
Yeah.
This isn't going to get slim on its own.
You need to hit the Q.
I need 500 reps of Q per game.
So the other thing I actually use auto hotkey for is to create an auto run, so I don't have to constantly be like.
East and I have a much better solution that involves playing through Steam, because we discovered this same solution for DayZ as an auto run key.
Yep. Wait.
How does Steam allow you to use an auto run key?
You hold down W and then you go into your Steam overlay.
And it holds down the button.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you close the Steam overlay, it bugs that it had that button held, and it keeps going.
So wait a minute, Steam overlay does it by accident, but the in-game map, when you pull up the map, you won't keep going. You'll just stop.
Yeah.
Damn it. Because it's like, if you just watch a Sunderer driving down a road loaded with teammates or whatever, and all of a sudden it stops.
Yeah.
And then it goes again. That's because the driver had for directions.
The problem is if you go through the Steam overlay thing and you still go into the map, I think it shortcuts out of that W because the map just prevents you from moving. But that was one of the best things in DayZ because have you played that? I forget if you've played that, Brit.
Walk Simulator.
Yeah,
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's like the same map size as Endar, except vehicles are exceedingly rare and difficult to maintain and dangerous to use. So you're probably going to be running across that terrain most of the time. So that's why we're like, oh, we need an auto run key, and people are using like fishing weights and all this stuff. And we're just like, oh, hello, Steam overlay.
Tony Montana, our server admin, he used an actual a master lock. Like a giant part of a master lock, and he just thunk on his keyboard, and that was how he.
That's one way to do it. I did it with the scripting way. I actually did it by finding other people's solutions and copying them from Battlefield over to. Now, the other reason I need auto hotkey is because I use a really funky setup, and right now the stupid question mark / that button, the one to the left of the right shift. That button is hard-coded to be open the stupid chat with a slash. I don't want it to do that.
Keyboard and mouse setup, because this is Bridger's keyboard and mouse setup.
My keyboard and mouse setup has significant objective advantages over Wisad. All right?
Science was involved in its design.
Science and the combination of Doom plus Quake, actually. Because when I played Doom, when you played Doom, you use the arrow keys and the control button, right? Control was fire in Doom, and I think Enter was jump. I don't remember. Maybe no, there wasn't even a jump in Doom, was there? But anyway, I was so used to having control as my fire that when I got Quake WASD, I just said, okay, hand on the mouse, because now I have a mouse look in Quake. I'll just use mouse 1 to go forward, mouse 2 to go backward. The question is under my finger. That can be strafe left. Shift is strafe right. Control is still shoot. And I have all these buttons around me. Enter's jump, space is use, and I'm good to go. And
Well,
this
no,
way...
shoot.
This way I can turn and shoot and move forward and backwards and hit all these other keys. I don't have to do finger gymnastics in order to continue moving and hit things at the same time. Because when I use WASD, let's say I want to switch to my number 1 weapon, right? Let's say that I want to hit the 1 key. I've bound the 1 key to something important and I want to hit it. Okay, if I'm moving W and A and I want to keep moving in that direction, I have to now have my finger, like my index finger has to crawl around the top, or I have to bring my pinky up and like move my hand forward. It's really uncomfortable and finger gymnastics. I don't want to do that. This way, I can do everything and keep moving and not have to stop or turn or do any weird thing. I can hit all the buttons I need to, and I have another 9 buttons on my mouse, so it all works out.
He loves his buttons. But yeah, so if you ever sat down at his computer like, oh, I'm going to try a first-person shooter, he'd be like, why am I moving forward when I try to shoot?
The other reason I wanted to get rid of the shoot button on the mouse is because every time I would line up a shot in Counter-Strike or something like that, I tried WASD in Counter-Strike the first time. So I'm like, oh, well, let's see what everybody's talking about with this WASD thing. And I started trying it, and every time I'd have a shot lined up with a headshot, I clicked, and the process of clicking would actually screw up Skype, but the process of clicking would move my mouse ever so slightly and I'd miss. But now that shoot is on a completely different hand and a completely different device, I never accidentally move my cursor just at the moment of firing. And that is quite freaking useful.
You know what? It's because it's that old sniper thing. Squeeze the trigger, don't pull it.
Well, that's not how I hold the mouse. I hold it like a man holds a lady. Or something. I don't know.
I don't want to touch your mouse ever again.
Ever. I'm glad I've never.
Metaphors are good for things. You don't know. All right.
Even fatalities like what?
Let's end it on that note.
Okay.
let's call it a day, and I'm gonna go play something because I've been doing nothing but preparing for this show for the last week. So I need to play games.
I need to go race cars.
I might need to go play Hawken. Have you guys been playing Hawken?
I found it disappointing. Slightly.
Did you play it recently in the open beta?
Yes. Oh yeah.
I found it got a lot better since
I have not actually. I applied for it forever ago, and I completely forgot it was a thing because I got distracted by all these other games that came out in the last few months.
What about MechWarrior Online? Have you played that recently, Matt?
Yeah, I played both of them recently.
You like MechWarrior better?
So here. Let me get the lowdown because I might as well do this with an audience around. So I got into Hawken, like it was like the open beta day today. Like yeah, I want to try this. It looked great. It's kind of cool. Matchmaking servers are down for the next day and a half.
Dope.
Okay, so I can't really fault them because they're an indie game company, and releases are hard, and they probably got slammed by all these people. Games are incredibly laggy.
I didn't notice any lag. Maybe it's gotten better since. Because I just started playing it yesterday.
Games are still pretty laggy. The graphics, I think it's on the Unreal 3 engine, so the graphics are not as good as like some of the YouTube videos made it out to be.
And I definitely noticed. It didn't look as good as it looked in the videos. They seem to have touched it up a little bit.
Definitely not as good. I wonder if they did additional post-processing on those videos. And it's definitely not as good looking as MechWarrior Online. And then when I'm playing it, I'm like, this is just another Twitch shooter with some interesting movement mechanics. Like I do kind of like some of the feel of the mechs. Like the fact that your torso is an independent rotation. That is true. And your direction of your legs does actually matter as far as like if you're going this way and you start turning or you turn your torso and you want to start moving in the direction you just faced, it's going to take some time for your legs to orient and go that way. It's like, okay, so there's some of the feelings there, but generally it just feels like another fairly generic Twitch shooter with a little bit more health. Whereas you jump into MechWarrior Online, it actually feels like you're piloting giant robots of death, and some of that's the size discrepancy. Like
I appreciate the difference too, and I need to play Mech Online because they just went open beta too recently, didn't they?
They went open beta like a month or two ago.
Well, didn't they just release or something recently, or did they do something special recently?
They released a new mech, and then they released a new hero mech.
Because I haven't played it for about 2.5 months. I played it for a while, and it was pretty interesting. But then I got it. Then Guild Wars 2 came out, and I stopped playing it. But I'm interested to see how it's come. Because my problem with MechWarrior Online was the interface was like before you got into the fight was so crude, and I had no, and there was, and that at that point it wasn't really implemented. You couldn't customize anything yet, and so I want to go back into it and see.
It's smoother. The old. Here's another couple of really big complaints I have. You know how you were complaining about how long it takes to get anything in MechWarrior Online? It takes even longer to get shit in Hawken. And
really? I didn't notice that. I mean, well, yes, things you buy, it does seem like it'll take a while. That's true.
So if you're trying to play entirely within game cache, gonna take fucking forever. You need to spend real money on that game. MechWarrior Online, you can actually make a really good light mech for relatively cheap, and the free mechs that you get to trial instantly repaired, don't cost anything to maintain, and you just purely make money off of those matches. And you get variety. See, the other problem with Hawken is you get one mech, and they have other trial mechs, but you don't. What's the point? Because what's the point of really leveling those trial mechs up? When the level ups, they have an actual talent tree like World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's the point of playing those trial mechs if there's this talent tree that actually matters a lot more than
well,
like
presumably after you actually unlock the mech, it would carry over, right?
I don't know. I would
hope so.
I didn't feel like testing it that thoroughly.
All right. Well, I'm downloading MechWarrior Online. I want to try it out tonight. I'm patching 3.
I want to play with somebody. I really want to see.
I really do too. That's where MechWarrior Online shines. Is
amazing job of making the cooperative play intuitive as far as how complex it is. The need for scouts and all that stuff, they did a really good job with that, I think, because it's obvious when you need scouts. The only issues you run into are, I'm in a scout mech, I'm going to go scout. Where's my team? God, what are all these missiles doing here? Oh, God.
Oh, God, my face.
Oh, God, I'm dead.
Well, a big bonus of the Jenner is the reactor, when you're running, gives off a techno beat that the Vanu would be envious of. So,
dude, it's all about the catapult, man. You get this giant heavy mech with jetpack on it.
Really
Jump
liking
jets.
the cataphract. I need to save up for a cataphract.
Which is a cataphract? I don't know about that one.
New heavy mech, and it's a fairly decently balanced one. It's the only one that feels to me, out of the heavy mechs they've implemented, the way a heavy mech should feel. With the combination
the Dragon was my favorite.
The Dragon just felt like a weak, with like a light mech that got fat. Has more running speed, the shitty weapons, and a lot more target area, and that's why I had a troll build for the closed beta with the Dragon that was 3 light machine guns and a shitload of ammo. And I just spray that like a fire hose. But no, the Cataphract I think is the best heavy mech for me, the way I play, and I'm the kind of guy who likes to pilot Mad Cats or Timberwolves if you're actually going by the good clan names. So
I like actually. One of the things I do like about Hawken is that the lighter frames have the same firepower as the heavier frames, so they basically only have the trade-off of movement and armor, rather than the light mechs in MechWarrior kind of have a lot lighter weapons on them.
Not necessarily. That depends on how you fit them out. I have seen builds of Ravens, for instance, which are heavier light mechs, but they're still light mechs with like ERPPCs on them or autocannon 10s, and they just shred you because the autocannon will completely fuck your view, and it actually does a lot of damage.
All right, well,
we can continue the conversation non-live.
Yes, so we're gonna close the show out here. We went a little longer after that. After we closed it out before, and then we closed it out again, and then we went into Hawken. But let's go off air. Thanks, guys, for watching.
Thank you, and sticking around.
Take care.
And sticking around. And we'll be back. I think I'm going to take the 30th off. So what we'll do is the 23rd next week is going to be Tales of Tyria. The 30th we're going to take off. We're going to be back on the 6th, though. because I could use a little vacation from doing
That's
anything.
a perfect time. I'm moving or I'm gonna be out of town that week
Okay, so
anyway.
there's another good reason
I don't
too.
have to kidnap some guy and steal his internet. And
There you
break
go. I
into his
figured. I mean, it's
house
right
and
around
go
New
with
Year's and the holidays, so
Yeah,
All right,
so-
so
And
look
you
for.
played DayZ, so you know how to kidnap people.
I know.
There you go.
I'm good at this.
So look for
we
us
did it at gunpoint once.
on the 6th of January next year, assuming that we don't die. You know, that's a fair
Yeah.
assumption, I think.
If there
to
is a
make.
next year, we
Yeah,
will be
if
there.
there is a next year, we'll be there. Tales of
Yeah.
Auraxis. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah.